Senator Mark Warner is introducing legislation to hold data centers accountable for rising utility costs.
It's time for action to lower your costs.
Tell your member of Congress, support Mark Warner's plan to lower power bills.
You called me the best out machine, the cleaner, the belt collector.
Okay. One second, I'm gonna just. Okay. Okay, good evening. How y'all doing? Okay, so Hassan Piker. So Hassan Piker is the most honest representative of the left, while Democrats are trying to maintain a moderate image and rein in the socialist messaging. They campaign with Piker because he say all of the things they believe but can't say it out loud. So this is a tweet from Outspoken Samantha. So here.
He hates everything that we stand for. Hassan Piker is probably one of the most honest people on the left right now. Because while all of the Democrats are scrambling to make themselves seem more moderate, even though they are the socialist communist party now, Hassan Piker just gets out there and says exactly what all of them think and what all of them believe.
And me from the back, okay? I fuck the Constitution. I wipe my ass with the Constitution. It's a fucking piece of paper, dude. Shut the fuck up. Motherfuck Constitution and motherfuck this country, okay? You stupid bitch.
This guy has built his entire platform and career and become wealthy on the fact that he hates America, that he hates this country, that he hates our values, that he hates our laws, that he hates our rights. He hates everything that we stand for. He praises attacks against our country and sides with the people that hate us the most. Not only that, it's my opinion, but I truly believe that Hassan Piker is a sociopath. Like, this guy is literally psychotic. I mean, you'd have to be for somebody like Mao Zedong to literally be your idol.
Mao Zedong is a...
No, me, I think what's going on is they're being consumed by the far left, the extreme wing of the Democratic Party. And Democrats who are center-left Democrats, they don't agree with the far left because they're too crazy. They agree more with MAGA Republicans.
Is one of the...
Hello, Bangs. How's it going? Bang VCX.
Democrats are school.
So the Democrats are being consumed by the far left, and they need to move to the center, not too far to the left. The reason why they're moving too far to the left is because they don't want to agree with Republicans. They don't want to find area of agreement with Republicans. Now, there's some agreement between the far right and the far left, and that's Israel. Okay. So, Cinema Shogun. Hello, Victoria Bernay. How's it going? So, Cinema Shogun Kaiser. So Kaiser, so that's your name, so I call you Kaiser. How's it going? So, Cinema Shogun tweeted 2 hours ago, Candace say she's a different place right now when it comes to Charlie Kirk assassination. She once again tries to convince fans that Charlie Kirk's spirit is on their side and fighting with them from heaven. And of course, immediately after convincing her mentally unstable fans that Charlie Kirk ghost is with them until the end, she's immediately transitioned into telling them to buy her merch. No shame in the game at all. So what I think is, I think Candace Owens is Christo Aivalis on steroids. She doesn't believe any of the claims she makes. She's just a grifter, and she gets a lot of views. She got a lot of views doing our Charlie Kirk investigation, and she also made a lot of money apparently. So I think she's just as much of a grifter, just like Christo Aivalis. But the difference is she actually does a show where she give analysis compared to Christo Aivalis, who doesn't really do any analysis on any of his videos. His video consists of him playing different clips of CNN and MSNBC. Candace Owens, she just say a lot of cuckoo things. Okay, so let's play the clip. Hello, Marianne Paris. How's it going? So, here. So this is the clip.
And I do think that spiritually, like, we're just kind of more in tune right now. And like I said, the reason why I'm positive every day and happy every day is because the truth is inevitable. It always wins. And I know that I'm on the side of truth. And like I said, I'm in a different place right now with the assassination, with the Charlie being gone, where I have moved from that initial trauma and feeling haunted by it to feeling like he's just like fighting alongside. And I don't know if that makes sense to you guys, but that's just how I feel. Man, call it added to my pile of dreams or something. I feel like Charlie's really with us and we're going to see this thing to the end. Like he tweeted back in 2018, I won't be here, but you see this thing to the end. That's what we're doing. We're seeing it to the end. I want to remind you guys, if you would like to support the show, you can get merch.
And also, I don't think Charlie Kirk is with her, because I don't think Charlie Kirk would be would like the fact that she's indicating that his wife and Turning Point USA are responsible. No, I'm just live. Marian Perez. I'm live, talking about the news and going over some tweets. That's what I'm doing, Marian Perez. So like I was saying, I don't think Charlie will be with Candace Owens. Because she's attacking all of his close allies and his wife. That's just my opinion. Just one more. Okay, so let's see. So Maya tweeted 1 hour ago, dear. Yeah, his wife, no. Like she thinks that Charlie is with her from spirit, cheering her on, but I don't think Charlie. I don't think Charlie would agree with her. And I think Charlie will be against her because he's attacking his wife and he's indicating that Erica and people close from Turning Point USA are responsible for his death. Okay, so there's a tweet that, so Maya tweeted, "Dear Heavenly Father, we pray for Candace Owens as she enters tomorrow's debate with Andrew Wilson." No. She's saying that she think Charlie Kirk is cheering her on from spirit. That's why she's saying Marion Perez. But I don't think Charlie Kirk is cheering her on from spirit. I think he will be disgusted that he's attacking the people that he trusted and the people that... So I don't think... You know what? I don't know why I'm not able to express myself clearly. Hello, Christo Aivalis. So I don't think Charlie Kirk will be cheering her on from heaven because Candace Owens is attacking the people close to Charlie Kirk. Whether it's Mikey McCoy, I don't even know the name, and then his wife, Erica Kirk. So there's a tweet from Maya. He said, "Dear Heavenly Father, we pray for Candace Owens as she entered tomorrow's debates with Andrew Wilson. Lord, strengthen her, grant her wisdom." Yeah. Andrew Wilson is a great debater. And I already made a short like a day ago that I won't be watching the debate because I'm not really that interested. So, the reason why Candace Owens agreed to debate Andrew Wilson is because she was offered $500,000 and then she accepted. So this is a tweet from Mikala. That's what she tweeted. Why Candace agreed to debate Andrew Wilson? Even I decided not to debate him. When he challenged me after we went back and forth in the replies. Andrew Wilson isn't hard to debate. The problem is that you can't even get to the debate because he starts throwing insults the second you ask him to clarify his position. I was literally trying to make sure I understand his argument correctly before responding to it, and I couldn't get through one question without being insulting. Like, yeah, dude, super intellectual debates. I mean, he's had some intellectual debates. He's had some intellectual debates with Destiny, and he did a good job against Destiny when they debated whether January 6th was a riot. And he also had good intellectual debate against Ben Shapiro. And I thought he did a good job. Okay. So, yeah, what I wish Tyler Robinson had said when Tyler Robinson was first arrested back in September 2025, I wish he had said the reason why he took out Charlie Kirk is because he was consumed by the far left. He was consumed by the extreme wing of the Democratic Party, the far left. And I said that before and I'll say it again. Doesn't mean because you're born in a conservative family that you will end up being a conservative. Tyler Robinson was not a conservative. Tyler Robinson was a liberal or progressive. And then when the police officer discovered the bullet, they said, "Hey, fascist, catch." The left usually accused Republican conservative of being fascist. And then two examples. Destiny grew up in a conservative household, but he became a liberal. Brittany Simon grew up in a conservative household where both of her parents are pro-Trump, but she became a progressive. Okay, so let's see. So Piers Morgan tweeted, very interesting, and explained why AOC is publicly abandoning wokeism and charging the center. Nothing like the taste of power to abandon one principle. So Polly Market tweeted 8 hours ago that AOC overtakes Marco Rubio in the 2028 presidential odds for the first time this year, moving into second place. 13% chance AOC wins the White House. So Piers Morgan tweeted this. So she's rejecting the woke ideology, defunding the police, abolishing prison, because that's what the far left believe. So she's abandoning it so she can make a presidential run in 2028 and potentially win. So she's moving to the center. So she's trying to move to the center. King of X actually made an interesting tweet. Erica Kirk lived rent-free in Candace's head. Erica, by contrast, barely mentioned Candace. One carries pain, the other sells it. So this is what King of X tweeted. And I actually agree with her tweet. This is similar to when Scottie Pippen had his issue with Michael Jordan in The Last Dance. Scottie Pippen did these interview bashing Michael Jordan, where Michael Jordan barely mentioned Scottie Pippen, and Michael Jordan barely mentioned Scottie Pippen, and barely responded to him. So I agree with her with King of X tweets. No. King of X makes a great point. It is Candace Owens who's obsessed with Erica Kirk. She's obsessed with Erica Kirk just like Christo Aivalis is obsessed with Trump. Okay, so yesterday Candace Owens canceled the show. Man, Candace Owens is just trending on X for whatever reason. Okay, Candace Owens is so Jay tweeted yesterday, August 12th, Candace Owens is a coward and canceled the show after Robinson owed defense, admitted his guilt. Stand by your claim, Candace. You spent almost a year attacking everyone under the sun. Now suddenly you are scared. P.S. This isn't going to be the only. This isn't going to be the only you cancel this week. So here. So Tyler Robinson, parent, turned him in, and his own defense admitted his guilt. And then the prosecution, like a couple months ago, debunked that Candace Owens claim that Tyler Robinson was not in the UVU campus the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And then a new theory after the prosecution debunked her claim. She said that there was multiple Tyler Robinson lookalike, and it was so funny. Okay, so the Tates. Let's move on from the Tates. So today, Myron Gaines from the Fresh and Fit podcast organized his peaceful protest for Andrew Tate, for the Tate brothers. So here's a clip.
Who's these guys in the background? These guys in the background, like.
If they send him to the UK,
this guy's probably Jewish. He's got to be Jewish. This guy's got to be Jewish. Are you Jewish?
Oh, no. So this is like, he was probably echoed by a Jew.
If they send him to the UK, they're going to be jailed to death.
He's got to be Jewish. This guy's got to be Jewish. Are you Jewish?
Jail for 100 years.
He's a Jew, of course. Every single time. Every single time. Oh, man. Of course.
It's going to be a kangaroo court over there.
There's a fucking Jew in the background.
They spent $1 billion trying to cancel these guys. It's like saying, will there be a fair trial in North Korea? No way. Yeah. Never going to happen.
Joe, if they win the case for California.
So here.
What does that mean for their actual entire case?
They won the case in California
every time, bro.
Defamation out there. We're getting ready.
What's everything we saw?
And I even made a short about this a couple hours ago. Maybe Andrew Tate might get away with it. Who knows? He might beat the case. He might either beat the case or he might get away with it. Because I said it before and I'll say it again, the state of Florida tend to like human trafficking. Okay, so Ticket TV. And then I even give an example. I give Bo of the Fifth Column as an example. The dude was supposed to serve 10 years in federal prison, and he got a life sentence. He was charged of only alien smuggling and conspiracy to commit visa fraud. But the difference is this is just an extradition. This is an extradition. So it will take months and years. I thought today the judge was going to decide if the Tate brothers are going to stay in jail. They are going to stay in jail waiting to be extradited, or they're going to be out on bond. But I heard that August 27, this is where like the trial will begin, and they will either, and then after August 27, they will either be in jail waiting to be extradited, or they're going to be out on bond waiting to be extradited. Now, if they can be out on bond and then the extradition process can be denied, I don't think the Tate brothers should ever travel to Romania and the UK ever again, because they're wanted for crimes. Okay. So Keith tweeted 5 hours ago, there's a woman who pressed Myron, why do you hate Jewish people? So here.
As long as you don't kill Palestinian kids, nobody cares.
And what I will also say is, we gotta differentiate Palestinian and jihadists. Israel has the right to defend themselves against jihadists, but I don't think they should be killing Palestinian kids. So we gotta differentiate the two. So August 27, we will see for the Tates what will happen. Would they be in jail waiting to be extradited, or they will be out on bond? If I were to make a prediction, I would say they will be out on bond. Because if Bo of the fifth column can get away with it, they can get away with it, and they can be out of bond. Now for the extradition process, one second. Who will handle which member for the extradition process? I don't know what will happen, but I'm looking something up right now. Which member will be responsible? Which person? So for the extradition process, so I don't know. So Marco Rubio will be responsible. So The final decision regarding the U.S. extradition of Andrew and Trisha Tate to the United Kingdom will rest in U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. I don't know. I don't know if Marco Rubio is going to block the extradition process or is going to let the extradition process. He's going to let them be extradited. Man, this is tough. Marco Rubio. The Trump administration already looked bad with the Epstein file. And if Marco Rubio find a way to block the Tate from being extradited to the UK, the Trump administration will look even more bad. Because they're going to be accused of being PDF protector, PDF and human trafficker, human trafficking protectors. Wow. Okay. So let's see. Why? Okay, why women deserve. Okay, so this is Myron.
Or like the threshold.
So Myron was with Tate Lawyers. So let's see what he had to say.
But I do think it's important that people understand that like the barrier guys, right, or like the threshold to like keep them is much lower than actually like, this isn't about even guilt at all. It's about, oh, well, all of these different allegations are from all over the world. You know, it's just throwing to see what sticks, man. And a lot of this stuff has been debunked already, which is the crazy part. So, you know, and it's insane that they're bringing up the California case because literally he has a letter saying we are not going to prosecute or we decline to prosecute, which is very difficult to get from a district attorney's office. And the reason for that is because no one wants to sit there and say, oh, yeah, we're not going to prosecute, especially on like, you know, an allegation of sexual assault or whatever. So for them to say that shows that there was little evidence. Obviously, it was bullshit. And then she followed up with civil suit, bro. This is the game now. It's like, try to somewhat do a criminal investigation and then like follow up with a civil suit so you can go ahead and collect money because you know that they're going to settle a lot of the times. But I do think it's important that...
Okay, so that's what he said 6 hours ago when they had the protest. My goodness. Every single time. Okay, so Natalie Jean Beisner tweeted 20 minutes ago, I won't lie and say I won't be watching or that I'm not interested in seeing her finally get some pushback in real time. It's sad this has become the predominant discourse around Charlie's life and legacy debates, costing hundreds of thousands of dollars between people who didn't even like Charlie. If you have told me on August 14 of last year that this is what it will be in a year time, me already said I won't be watching the debates.
Conservative act.
So this is like an ad to promote the debate that's going to happen between Andrew Wilson and Charlie Kirk. I might be wrong. No, Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens. I might be wrong, but here.
Activist and podcaster Charlie Kirk has been shot.
Tyler James Robinson.
Is the suspect in custody?
Tyler Robinson is a patsy.
Utah Valley University.
I feel pretty certain about that.
We got him.
He texted his boyfriend and admitted to the crimes.
You're saying these are his texts. We can't even determine if they're fake or they're real.
Redaction.
I don't think your investigation has proven a single thing.
There is nothing, not a single shred of this case they have delivered that has been concrete.
To bring justice.
I don't believe you can tie Erica to anything. I don't believe you have a single credible eyewitness or alternative theory.
You gotta connect the bullet, you gotta connect the person.
And I'm just as connected to this case as you are, which means not at all.
Okay, so this is the ad. And I talked about marketing before. The way how marketing is used in real life, for example, candidates, when they run for political office, they run ad against their political opponent to convince the American people, the citizen, to vote for them in the governor's race, in the presidential election, and so forth. So this is like a trailer of the debate that's about to happen tomorrow. I think Patrick Bet-David will be a good moderator. And also, I said it before and I'll say it again. Candace Owens' downfall is coming. I have noticed a drop in her viewership. During the peak of her investigative series, she was averaging 5 million to 4 million views. Now it is down 1 million. And then once Tyler Robinson is convicted, that will be the nail in the coffin. And then what I also noticed when I check Candace Owens' channel, it takes her several hours to reach 1 million views. But during the peak of her investigation, when she started her series, The Bride of Charlie, she was reaching 1 million views in less than an hour. So people are tuning out. Okay. So yesterday, there's an account that goes by the Crucible updates. Man, for 90 minutes of examination I could have gotten a steal at only 135,000. I just wouldn't have let her wear the hat. So this is like her charging her fans, but you know what, doesn't matter. And also, I forgot to cover this. Candace Owens was accused of putting out a fake picture of Tyler Robinson from Brandon Tatum.
Life on this. My life, my kid's life. This is not the evidence, picture, video footage from the court. I was there. I watched it. I watched the prosecution move to enter it into evidence. It was admissible into evidence. The judge permitted it. The defense did not object to it. No one argued that this was enhanced or anything was afoot. This was authentic video, verified and accepted by both the prosecution and defense. This is a fake picture. This is fake. Fake. Everybody that was in the court saw this. A matter of fact, this is not some super spooky, top secret nothing. I don't know why people are confused by this, because most people are either lying to you or you didn't watch the trial. The video that they showed the world was the same contextual video that they showed us, that they did not show to the public. The only difference is they zoomed and they put circles around people so we can easily see who these people were. The reason why, and I want y'all to clip it and put it out for the world. The reason why there is a video that was presented to the public and there was a video that was not presented to the public is because the defense argued that any level of enhancements can be biased, although they are the same basic footage. The prosecution argued that the only difference is that we zoomed it and we put circles around it so you can identify the people that we're talking about. Nothing was altered on the video. The judge said, I'll play the unenhanced for the world to see. And we will not display the one that was enhanced, because the world can enhance whatever they want with the base footage. Erica Kirk, as a victim advocate for her husband and her attorney, argued that in the courtroom, there's a big screen TV that's like 40, 50 feet away from where we're sitting. And if the video isn't zoomed, we can't see it very clearly. It is not fair that the victim advocate is in court and cannot observe evidence in a fair and reasonable way. So the judge ruled, although we put out the first video for the world to see, the enhanced version will play it for people who are in court. It wasn't only Erica, it wasn't only a few people, it was the entire court, but not disseminated to the world.
Okay, so this is Candace Owens putting out fake video of Tyler Robinson. But so Candace Owens' friends and business partner Brandon Tatum just accused her of putting out a fake picture. And then Cinema Shogun said, I think he's finally just about fed up with her nonsense. It's only a matter of time before Candace burned this bridge as well. I'm honestly just surprised that she hasn't directly blamed him for killing Charlie Kirk yet. Okay, so let's move on to Ben Shapiro. So Jay tweeted an hour ago, Ben Shapiro delivered a perfect beatdown rebuttal to sweaty-faced Tucker Carlson. The very same people who are telling you that I'm somehow feeding you goy slop are sitting in a mansion across from Hunter Biden and Andrew Tate claiming they have high ground on virtue. They're totally full of it. I actually agree with Ben Shapiro. People like Hunter Biden and Andrew Tate are not high ground on virtue. So here, this is 13 minutes long, but I don't know if I'll play
Their
this.
entire idea is promote ingratitude.
So this clip is 13 minutes long, but I'm not going to play the entire 13 minutes. So here, oh, my bad.
You can't do anything about your life. It's a Russian oligarchy. And also, you should be ungrateful for America. And if people tell you to be grateful, it's because they're probably neocons. Which, again, Tucker never defines the term neocon, because we all know what he means, but here he is.
So it's clearly coordinated. But it's not just coordination that gets us to a talking point like that. There was deep feeling behind it. And that feeling was contempt. That was loathing of the people complaining. That was loathing of the population. And that is part and parcel of this whole program. And this ultimately is the reason that the neocon worldview is a cancerous worldview. Not simply because it's wrong about which countries we ought to invade, which leaders we ought to topple, which democracies we ought to erect in countries whose languages we don't speak. Okay, that's obviously all wrong. But that's not the worst thing about it. The worst thing about it is not just its inattention to the fortunes of actual Americans, it's its hostility, its hatred of Americans. Because there's no other way to describe the kind of feelings it could get you to give a lecture.
I don't know. I feel like if I say that we all ought to be grateful, me, you, all of us ought to be grateful for America, I don't know if that's hostility to Americans. It feels more like love of Americans because it turns out that the greatest country in the history of the world is the place that you are currently living. It is an amazing place, and it has all these problems. The problems we've talked about, mostly statist interventions like the ones that Tucker promotes. But if you're ungrateful for America, you're either an idiot or malevolent. And sure, the law is a teacher. We get this a lot, right? The law is a teacher. The government needs to inculcate virtue. Obviously, I believe in an educational system in which traditional virtue is upheld. It is also true that when the law says you cannot handle your own choices and freedoms, when the law says that basically all your freedoms and choices are bad for you, the law then teaches you to be a child and dependent and incapable. And this is what the post-liberals are now arguing. For ingratitude, because you're ungrateful for the freedoms, if you're ungrateful for the process, if you say the process is rigged and crap, and what you actually need is someone telling you what to do, how virtue ought to be constituted, what you ought to do with your money, what decisions you ought to make with your life, how you ought to bring up your kids. If you have people who are saying that to you, that somehow individual rights that undergird capitalism destroy your spiritual.
For some reason, I trust more Ben Shapiro than I trust Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson, I don't really have good feelings about him. Now, when it comes to foreign policy, I'm not well versed in it, so. But I would not want socialism in conservatism. I want, like, if I was a Republican, I want capitalism. I want capitalism, not socialism.
Fulfillment. They're selling you a bag of goods. There's a reason that Max Weber talked about the Protestant work ethic. It is indeed an Anglo-American Protestant tradition that leads to the rise of free markets. You do not need to be poor or poorer in order to reach spiritual fulfillment. People who argue that you do typically just want an excuse for making you poor. Here's what I want. I want for you to be wealthy and also to go to church. These two things are not mutually exclusive at all. Most of the biblical prophets were wealthy. Why are we? Who says that Americans can't have both? Who says we can't have both prosperity and virtue? The very same people who are telling you that I'm somehow feeding you goy slop are sitting in mansions across from Hunter Biden and Andrew Tate and claiming they have the high ground on virtue, and they're totally full of it. So I do have a theory about some of these folks. I don't like to go into motivations, but we can look at personal histories. I have a theory about some of these folks. Here is one of my theories. That many of the people who say the American dream is dead and that the American dream isn't a process.
Nick DiGiovanni.
That they alone can achieve if you give them power. Never actually lived within the American process. They never were part of the American process. Hassan Piker didn't live the American dream. Hassan Piker was born in America. He was brought up in Turkey. He came back. He was already well-to-do. Zoran Mamdani did not live the American dream. Zoran Mamdani grew up alternatively in a mansion in Georgia or in a series of hoity-toity areas of the United States with his Columbia University father and his mom who made documentaries for Disney. Bernie Sanders didn't live the American process. The dude's been living essentially rent-free off the back of taxpayers his entire life. And neither did Tucker Carlson. He didn't live the American process either. And it's amazing to watch the projection here. Truly amazing. Really kind of insulting. So Tucker Carlson claims, for example, he has to claim that somehow I rigged the system. Right? So Tucker yesterday spilled out this stuff about how I got into Harvard Law. And his claim is that I was kind of nepo babied into it.
No, he got into Harvard Law because Ben Shapiro got to Harvard Law because he's goated. The same way how guys like Ted Kaczynski was goated. He went to Harvard at 16 and graduated at 20. Ted Kaczynski was goated. Ben Shapiro is goated. That's why he was able to get into Harvard Law. When he was in his 20s.
Probably by the Israelis. Yes, I'm sure that the state of Israel had nothing better to do than sit on top of my Harvard Law application in the year 2004. I'm sure that's what when I was 20. Here is Tucker Carlson.
Can you imagine 400,000 or 500,000 American 18-year-olds plucked at random from cities across the country in a field this summer, this month, August, 57 years after Woodstock? Can you imagine what they would look like with their shirts off? Which is not to make fun of their lumpy physiques. That happens to a lot of us over time. But can you imagine what their faces would look like? Would they look as cheerful as the kids you see in the pictures of Woodstock? You hope so. Probably not. So maybe the last thing they need is to be lectured by people who are clearly the beneficiaries of unearned privilege, like Ben Shapiro, who somehow got into Harvard Law School despite a middling IQ. How did that happen? Never asked.
He got to Harvard Law School because he has strong work ethics. Just like Ted Kaczynski had strong work ethics. Just like Vivek Ramaswamy, and just like many others.
People like that have no standing at all to lecture the rest of America's young people.
Okay. Put aside the fact that he's using Woodstock as an example of American happiness, which is a bunch of young drug-addled people banging in the mud, which is weird. And his weird imaginings of people with their shirts off. I'm just going to point out, the reason I got into Harvard Law is because I had a 3.85 GPA from UCLA and a 176 on my LSAT and a published book and a syndicated column at age 17. That would be the reason.
Yeah, that's true. That's how we got to Harvard. Because he was an academic genius. He was an academic genius, just like Ted Kaczynski. But Ted Kaczynski was different. Ted Kaczynski went to Harvard as an undergrad. But Ben Shapiro went to Harvard Law School, just Harvard Law School. He went to UCLA. as an undergrad student, and he went to Harvard Law School. Ted Kaczynski was an undergrad at Harvard, and then he went to the University of Michigan. Both Ben Shapiro and Ted Kaczynski graduated in a less technologically advanced era where there was no AI, which somewhat ruined the educational system.
It's very funny. Tucker is constantly trying to rip on my IQ. Dude, I mean, if you want to have an IQ off, I suppose we could do that. I've offered Tucker for the past, I don't know, how many years at this point? Years and years and years. An open opportunity to have a public talk about anything or everything. He has never taken me up on it, of course. But I just want to point out, Tucker Carlson never lived within the American process. He thinks everything was rigged because everything was rigged for him. I'm going to give you a brief capsule history of my own life. I mean, here's the thing. I don't even like doing this. I really don't. I don't talk about it a lot on the show. Why don't I talk about it a lot? Because I don't think that there is some sort of virtue that is attendant upon whether you grew up in a richer family or a poorer family. I do not associate wealth with virtue inherently. These are not qualities that must be correlative. But I'm just going to make clear my own personal history for just a second. Again, this idea that I was some sort of like Nepo baby who got into Harvard, it's made up out of whole cloth.
Yeah, no, he was not a Nepo baby that got to Harvard. I agree with Ben Shapiro. He was not a Nepo baby that got to Harvard. He was goated. 3.85 GPA at UCLA, and then he scored a 175 in his LSAT. Like he said on that video. Ben Shapiro was goated. Was enrolled at UCLA at 16 and graduated at 20.
The reason Tucker thinks this is because he was a Nepo baby. So, I grew up in what would probably be best termed a lower middle class to pure middle class home in Burbank, California, in the late 80s, 1990s. I was born in 84. Until 1995, until I was 11 years old, my parents and I and my three younger sisters lived in a 2-bedroom, 1,100 square foot house in Burbank, California with 1 bathroom for 6 people. It was a great life because America's awesome. I had great parents. We had good neighbors. It was a clean town. It was great. Okay? But we certainly were not wealthy. My mom started off as a secretary at a small television company. And my father played piano on Monday and Tuesday nights at a restaurant called Michelli's. I spent most of my childhood Monday and Tuesday nights at Michelli's, hanging out with the waiters and the bartender, while I waited for my mom to finish work so she could pick us up from the restaurant, like me and my younger siblings. And then, when I was 11, my parents, quote unquote, got wealthier. And by got wealthier, I mean they moved into a gigantic mansion. By mansion, I mean a 2,400 square foot home where we spent the rest of my childhood. And it was great. Again, I'm very grateful for all these things because only in America, because America's awesome. America kicks ass. Okay, so we moved into, finally I had my own room. And that was, basically for the rest of my childhood in North Hollywood. We're on scholarship at a local private school. But the reality is that sort of my own sort of educational history was public school through grade 4, skipping grade 3, private school 5 and 6. We couldn't afford private school for 7 and 8, so I went back to public school for 7 and 8. And then private school again for 10, 11, 12 because I skipped 9th grade and I was on scholarship. Because my parents were, by this point, middle class to probably upper middle class.
Yeah, because he was goated. Ben Shapiro was goated, so that's why he was able to skip grades. And Ted Kaczynski also skipped grades.
Because again, they made responsible decisions and their life progressed. And then I got into UCLA, a state school that does not cost tons of money. And then I got a 3.85 GPA.
Yeah, 3.85, good.
And a 176 on my LSAT. I got one problem wrong on my LSAT. And then I went to Harvard Law, and I took out a bunch of private loans that I paid off myself. That is my story. I did not know anyone at Harvard Law. I did not know anyone in the Israeli government when I was 20. I visited Israel one time at that point in my life, when I was 16 with my family for 2 weeks. This is psycho. But the reason that Tucker thinks this is because, again, Tucker has never engaged in the American process. He has not. He is not someone who got better and stronger and more powerful because he made smart, wise, and virtuous decisions. That is not the story of Tucker Carlson's life, just as it is not the story of Hassan Piker's life or Zoran Mamdani's life or Rashida Tlaib or Ilhan. Like, this is not their life. Hey, here's what Tucker Carlson's childhood was like. Tucker Carlson grew up silver spoon rich in a frozen food empire. He went to a Swiss boarding school for high school. He, according to Jason Zengerle, in his book about Tucker Carlson, although Carlson found religion in high school, he continued to drink and smoke and began doing drugs. Marijuana, acid, cocaine, even ether. He went to St. George's, which wasn't Exeter or Andover, but it still sent a smattering of graduates each year to Harvard, Princeton, and Yale. His grades and test scores were nowhere near good enough to get into any of those schools. His academic record at St. George's was sufficiently poor, he had a difficult time at gaining admission to any prestigious university, not just those in the Ivy League. So he got into Trinity College because his then girlfriend Susie's dad, who was the headmaster of St. George's, helped grease the wheels to get him in. There, he was an abysmal student. He stopped showing up to class. When Neil Patel, who became business partners later, and most of Carlson's other friends received their Trinity diplomas, Carlson was not among them. His 1.9 GPA was deemed too low. He never graduated from college. Then, Carlson's daddy called up his friends at the Heritage Foundation, where he landed a $14,000 a year internship fact-checking a quarterly journal at Heritage Foundation, and the rest is history. Get into any of those schools. His academic record at St. George's was sufficiently poor, he had a difficult time at gaining admission to any prestigious university, not just those in the Ivy League. So he got into Trinity College because his then girlfriend Susie's dad, who was the headmaster of St. George's, helped grease the wheels to get him in. There, he was an abysmal student. He stopped showing up to class. When Neil Patel, who became business partners later, and most of Carlson's other friends received their Trinity diplomas, Carlson was not among them. His 1.9 GPA was deemed too low. He never graduated from college. Then, Carlson's daddy called up his friends at the Heritage Foundation, where he landed a $14,000 a year internship fact-checking a quarterly journal at Heritage Foundation, and the rest is history. Okay, so again, I'm happy for Tucker that he is richer than he once was. But I think the reason why he despises the American dream as process is because he never lived that process. I love that process. That process is glorious. That is the thing that needs to be protected. The American dream as the process where if you make wise, smart, virtuous decisions, you get ahead. And then if you teach those to your kids, they get ahead of you. I want the American dream. I want my kids to have that process. I do not want the petty tyrants on the left or the right deciding for me what things are worth or what they think is fair, because I don't know what they mean by fair, or what I materially require in order to reach spiritual fulfillment. They can all write off. I would like the freedom that is the process of the American dream. Here's the thing. A lot of these people have problems with the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. They'll say so openly. The Declaration of Independence was right. The Constitution of the United States was right. And all of your crappy, rewarmed oligarchic theories have been tried, and they have failed. You want feudalism? Awesome. Go back to medieval Europe.
No, I agree with Ben Shapiro. I want capital. I prefer capitalism than feudalism or socialism. But this is feudalism and capitalism. Capitalism rocks.
You want Marxism? Sweet. Head on over to Cuba. You want Islamism? You can get the hell out and go to Qatar. People like this, they like to say America first. But here's the thing. Americanism first. Americanism first. You know, the thing that makes us different from every place else. The thing that makes America exceptional and awesome. Those first principles, free markets and free minds and equal justice before law and social virtue, those are the things. That's what government is there to protect. Let's get back to those first principles. And for the love of all that is holy, will someone please buy Tucker Carlson a burrito?
Yeah. Ben Shapiro and Ted Kaczynski. They are goated. Ted Kaczynski went to Harvard as an undergrad at 16, graduated at 20. Ben Shapiro went to UCLA at 16 and graduated at 20. And then he went to Harvard Law School. I mean, if Tucker Carlson wants, yeah, I disagree with Tucker Carlson ideology of having feudalism as opposed to free market and capitalism. And what else? And Islam. I agree more with Ben Shapiro than I agree with Tucker Carlson. Okay, that's pretty much it.